Today I am going to show you how to make yummy cinnamon rolls in the brick oven. So let's get started. Alright, so we're going to mix up the cinnamon roll ingredients. I like to keep my recipes very simple. These don't require a lot of ingredients, a little bit less sugar and butter. So you really have to take your time. This is going to end up being a little bit sticky. You don't want to get it too dry. And you can tell when the flour starts to get used up and it's starting to really stick to my hands some more. That's when you know, bring a little bit more flour out. I want it to still be kind of sticky, but I can still pull my fingers away. What I like to do is just pull it down and under to get the top smoother. And as I'm doing it, I'm rotating the dough. And then you have a nice little dough ball like that. And I'm going to let it rest for 10 minutes. And I just put a bowl over top, and I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes. While our dough is resting, we're going to do our filling. We're not using a ton of sugar in this recipe. We have a little bit of sugar in the dough, we got some sugar in our filling, and we're going to have a little sugar in our icing, so we don't need any more than this. So our dough has rested for 10 minutes, and now it's time to knead it. Press it out a little bit. Oh, I don't have my rolling pin.
That's my fault.
Thank you. That's my bad. I use this rolling pin, and you don't want to roll it real hard, real fast. You want to make sure that the thickness stays the same in this dough. There we are. Now we're ready to roll it up. I'll just kind of use my fingers and stretch it a little bit. You got to be careful that you don't poke a hole in it when you're doing this. And then I take an end and I start to roll it up. I don't tighten it real tight with that first roll. They rise better if you don't make it real tight. And then I'm just going to keep rolling it. It's a little bit uneven. What I do is I just start shaping it so that each cinnamon roll will be about the same size. For this video, I am going to cut off the edges, and I always feel bad when I get rid of them. You can pop these right into the pan with the others too, but again, just for the look of it, I'm just gonna cut these off and make it real pretty. Now I'm gonna turn it around so you can see how I cut it up. You can also use dental floss. Make sure it's fresh dental floss that you're using. And what you do is you just come underneath the dough and then come up to your line that you made and you just pull it. And it makes a nice, easy cut, and it tends to cut a little bit better than the serrated knife. Whichever way you want to do it is fine. At this point, if you do not want to let them rise right away because you're not really ready to cook yet, say you want to make these up a day ahead of time, then all you'd have to do is place them into another pan. Make sure you put some spray down so they're not going to stick. That's really important. And cover them with some plastic wrap and just put them right into the refrigerator. I need to transfer these to the cast iron skillet. I don't like to put them in the refrigerator in the skillet because it's going to really cool that skillet down, and then it's going to make it hard for these cinnamon rolls to rise. The easiest way I found, instead of trying to scoop them out, is to just simply turn it upside down. And kind of let gravity take the rolls out, and we want them to be no higher than the height of this pan when they raise. I just use my pan and use that as my cover until these are raised to the pan height. If you are in a really big hurry and you do not have time to make these from scratch, then I do recommend you can use a store-bought cinnamon rolls that are already ready to go. You can just put into your pan, let rise according to the directions. They do work, I've used them, but if you do have the time, I recommend the from scratch ones. They just have a better taste to them, but I do use these once in a while. So my temperature is right about 350, and that's where we want to be. About 2 minutes in, I'm going to check them, make sure they're not browning too much on the top. If they are, then I'm going to move it either forwards a little bit or back if I need to, if they're not cooking fast enough. I'll leave the door open for now, but if I need a little bit more heat, then I'm going to close the door for a few minutes and let them cook. And I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes. So what I'm kind of watching for here is I'm just periodically turning my cinnamon rolls because I want an even brownness on the top of them. And the other thing you have to think about too, and it's so different than cooking in just a regular oven, is you're not just getting heat from the bottom, you're getting heat from the top and the sides. And so instead of me worrying about burning the bottoms of the cinnamon rolls, I'm really more concerned about watching the tops and making sure that they don't get too brown. And I'll show you why when we take them out of the pan. So it's just something you have to kind of learn to think about that way. So I have about 4 minutes left, and they're cooking nicely. Because they had the door open for a long time, it's cooling down the temperature inside, so all I'm going to do is just simply close the door for the last 4 minutes. So it's been 15 minutes. I like to take the buns out, and since it's in a cast iron dish that is quite hot right now, I like to put it onto a rack. And what I like to do is take a spatula and just cut down between them and see if it's cooked all the way through. And as I'm looking at it, it is finished cooking. They're ready to cool down, and then we'll put frosting on top. So the final step is to make your icing. It's a very simple icing recipe because you got the flavor of the bun with the sugar in it, so it has its own flavor, and then you've got that filling with the cinnamon and the sugar, and now you've got a little bit of sugar that you're going to drizzle on the top of these cinnamon buns, and it's just perfect. Just get it nice and smooth and about to that consistency where it's runny. Okay, my buns have cooled down now to a point where I can put the icing on top, and I've put it in the microwave so it's a little bit drippy, which is just the way we want it. That's a good one there. Now the best part, we get to cut the buns up and eat them. If you enjoy our videos and like the brick oven lifestyle, please feel free to subscribe so we can send you new videos and updates.